Why, hello there, everybody. Oh, my name is Brian. Welcome in. Welcome in, Game Noob. Yeah, that's right. The Konami code has started this stream for us, and even my camera is working this week, so don't have to mess with that. I hope everybody's having a good week. We have just released LaunchBox 13.21. So if you haven't downloaded that, definitely get to downloading that. I'd love to see how that works for everybody. It's a long time coming. Lots of stuff has been put into this release. And we talked about it on every one of these streams, I think, leading up to it, at least in bits and pieces. And if you wanted the full changelog, you can always go to our website, or the app itself also has a changelog. And I will put that here in the chat. How are you doing, Game Noob, this week? Hopefully you're doing pretty good. It's been an interesting week, just in general in the world, and it's nice and warm here where we live. It's getting up to almost t-shirt level weather, which is crazy because it was jacket weather level just like yesterday. Oh, you got a broken foot? That sucks. Started walking normally with your shoe again. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Every little stride is always a good thing. We've got a lot of things to cover. I actually have a lot of work to do this week, so I thought I'd play this one a little differently depending on who joins the chat and how chatty everybody is. I think I'll play it where this stream will go with the flow as far as what anybody wants to talk about, or like whatever AMA type of thing shows up. In the meantime, I have a list of things that I can go through that may or may not be interesting. It's essentially a day in the life of a release day, I guess we can call it, of things that we have to do, and I can go through that. But if I just summarize the last week here, so like behind the scenes last week, we released, or LaunchBox for Android, we released Beta 5, which is sort of like that. Oh, you're here this time, folks. I was about to go into an hour-long recap of what happened last week, but I'm glad that you mentioned that. All right, but what happened since that VOD? We released Beta 5 for Android, which is hoping to be the final before the actual release. It's got most of the major things in there. I think we had one minor thing that we wanted to do, which was to see if we can get that orientation setting in there for Andrew Spec, in the hopes that that was super simple for us to do, which I think it is. Outside of that, the release is basically ready. Huge. It's sort of like the emulators update. Add lots of emulators, platforms, get review emulators, make sure that they work, as many as we possibly could. But the main feature is sort of like the scope storage implementation. But because that scope storage implementation is basically like, let's completely rebuild how you launch games now, kind of. It's kind of, you have to touch on lots of stuff that deals with that process. And so it's been good to go through this beta and see people's results and just see how weirdly fragmented Android is. For example, with Andrew Spec, we're seeing that DuckStation works perfectly fine across all of our devices without the need for scope storage. He was seeing it not work with the exact same version and a very similar device. It's very strange that Android is so fragmented like that, and it's sort of like the challenges that you don't even see behind the scenes that an app like ours has to go through, because we're not a self-contained app, we're an app that launches other apps. And Android no likey that, and have no way to really do that well. Last week, Blueprints. Yeah, I heard that was a good one. How are you liking that game? Sounds like you are either extremely liking it or overly hypnotized by it, or maybe both. LaunchBox for Windows, like I just said, 13.21 is out soon during this stream at some point. The video will go out. There is a video in waiting. Of course, created by ETA. And it is it's this one here. I don't think I can really show you guys, but there's a video waiting. Basically, the way that the releases work is hit the big red button, the release goes out. We kind of monitor the situation. Is anybody yelling at us on Discord or on that's the wrong way to say it. People are always yelling at us. Is there anything specific to the update that people are chatting about? And if nothing has really exposed itself over about an hour, let's get the video out. So we get the video out, we do some kind of small social pushes. So that's what the video is in waiting. Can I get to our channel easily with a go to channel button? There it is. All right, so here's the website. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. It is in this playlist. It should be in this playlist.
Building your online business?
Okay, that is wonderful.
Go to Wix.com and set up your
Can't
store
hit
on a
anything yet. There we go. Feels like I'm on DSL or something. Yeah, the video will be here. That was not really what I wanted to show you. Here. So video's here. We leaned into the big thing with this release is obviously the media manager. For all you guys that saw me show it off and maybe played with it in the beta, that was the big thing. We didn't get a lot of feedback in the beta forum about that particular subject, so which to me means it's working fine. And so really leaned into that with this thumbnail image. It is essentially the content creator update. There's a few things that I need to do for this update from there. So like we hit the big red button, then we wait an hour or so, then we push out the video and socials that point to the video. Then we release. We wait a bunch more hours, and then we release. We push out the newsletter. Now today, I'm still working on the newsletter, so we can finish that off on this stream. I had a number of things. Let's just call them to-dos. We got the newsletter. Let's see what else I got on my list. I would like to create a controller input section on the forums for people wanting to upload their creations there. I also started working on fleshing out our knowledge base, which can be found at feedback.launchbox.gg/help at the moment. It's kind of soft launched, I guess. Not really launched. But it's public and people can use it if they want to. There's just not a lot of information there. So the only thing stopping us from really giving it a good push is just having more information inserted into this thing. So I've been slowly doing that as well. And if there's enough time, I'll start working on a feature of the next release. I'll start working on a big box theme for the next release. Now, when we're coming up to sort of like the end of a release cycle, there comes a time where the developers are basically done, but we still have lots of other work to do to make this release a reality. Testing and marketing and all this stuff that happens. And so what happens is that we've already kind of planned the next release out, and they start working on that release. And so that work has already started happening for both Windows and Android. And this release in particular on Windows is going to have one feature that's going to introduce a new kind of big box view. And because of that, and because I'm the guy that can create themes for this, my job in this will be to flesh out 1, 2, 3 themes, as many as I can. I don't think I can make 3, depending on how many views are going to be in it, specifically designed to show off this new feature. I need lots of things tested, Focusborg. We should have like a community. We should have a community testing ground. I don't know if enough people are interested. If you're interested, send me a message on Discord or on the forums. Wouldn't mind figuring out how to establish a group of people that are wanting to test things before they come out, and like test very specific scenarios. I would say we have one coming up. So testing. Let's talk about testing. So MAME high scores. Here's the gist. You watched last week's stream, so you understand what I mean when I say MAME high scores, right? For people that don't, we had a problem with some MAME high score games. Very few. In fact, basically one. We were looking at this one scenario where this game wasn't necessarily working. Like, the game was working, but the first launch of the game wasn't. And so we developed a scenario, and we were able to globally fix it without it interfering with all the other high scores, and make it work properly. Now, we have this old list inside of the application, and we don't 100% remember why it exists, but it's a list of like blacklisted MAME games where MAME high scores technically exist, but they were broken in some way. So like, let's exclude them from the MAME high score leaderboards for now until we can figure out what's going on. 5 years later, why did we create this list? And so what we essentially need to do is remove the blacklist for all these games. It's like a good chunk of games. And then go in and see if they are still broken or not, by earning high scores and seeing if that actually works. And then based on that, we can either hopefully get rid of this blacklist, or at least get rid of a chunk of those games and make them work in the hopes that our change allowed them to work. We don't currently know of any scenarios where this program, Hi2Text, has configuration files for these games, but somehow these games don't work. It basically means that the program itself can read the high scores of the game. So if they all had the same problem as this Viper Phase 1, we're hoping that they no longer have a problem. If it's some other problem, then we'll have to identify them, write down why exactly the game has the problem, and then see if there's anything we can do about it, with the goal to eliminate this blacklist. So the problem is the idea of sitting down and trying to play 30 to 50 MAME games and trying to earn high scores for all of them, that's going to take a good day or two or week or whatever, depending on how hard the game is. And we could do that. It just would take a long time. So if there was a group of community members that really wanted to help test, that is a great place to start. And it would just be about us figuring out how the logistics of that would work. But it would be things like that, where a really good volunteer QA type of, motivated group of people would extremely help these kinds of situations. So, yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, send me a PM on the forums. You probably don't need the latest. You would need one that has those files. And then that's a test, right? You need one with those games in it. If I'm remembering correctly, of course I'd have to remember where I wrote this stuff down. Here. I don't have the exact name of the games. Looks like some King of Fighter games, Operation Wolf, some Raiden games, game called Reactor, Space Duel, Splat, Stargate, Turf Master, and the other ones I don't really know. Cosmic Cop is on there. Blaster? Is there a game called Blaster, or is that just the short name? Of course, I'm in the wrong build to really talk about that, but anyway, those are some of the names. Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of Neo Geo games, so I'm wondering if they all just have the exact same problem, which they probably do. They're probably all identified, and thanks, Poke, welcome in. They're probably all identified at one point as being oh, they all have this exact same problem. What that problem was, I don't know. It probably happened very, very shortly after this feature was introduced, many, over half a decade ago, or whenever it was. All right. So yeah, get up on the new release. Let me know how it goes. And if you have any questions while I'm doing this, please ask away. And let's discuss them and try to get through all of them as we can. I can get into LaunchBox setup, but if you have something very specific that you want me to talk about, Tone Lock, I can do that for you. So, yeah, ask away. I am going to make you play Operation Wolf. Hey, you'll do really well if you're playing with a mouse, but I recommend that you go and just get a light gun for that test. It won't really help with the results of the test, but it'll be more fun for you. Oh, yay. Welcome in. Yeah, it's been a while. Glad that you're joining. How have you been? And while you answer that, I am going to try to set up on my screen. Don't think that there's a problem with me doing this, so I'm just going to do it. So we build out our newsletters in the sort of like loosely based system thing. Oh, how do I not do that? None of that is good. Let's see, is there a way for me to edit this window? Sure there is somewhere. Oh, I'm in the wrong section. Alright, forget about that. Awesome, you're doing good? That's good to hear. Alright, so I'm building out this newsletter. And I essentially got up to here, and then it screws itself up. So, let's find out why. DMs are in my Discord. Awesome. We will get to that sometime soon. Alright, so we talk about the media packs, and then we go and we talk about... I'm gonna guess that this section has a problem. Can I zoom in? I cannot with a simple shortcut. Okay. This is the section that's having a problem. I think it's because I need to wrap it in something. That's a complete guess for me, but let's give it a shot. Who knows? I'm not a pro on this, so... Yeah, and GameNoob, they, I think most light guns have support for that. This whole raw input thing. I haven't had the need to do it. I don't have any light guns. I would love to have some. I did hear back from Retro Python, who has the retro shooter guns, the newest ones, and he is singing their praises. That did kind of solve the problem that I was having here. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So we don't need this section at all. So this is not something I need. I think we're good. I wish this would like automatically format itself. It is not that smart. All right, so I got a section. I've got text, close, text, close, text, close, section. Like that. All right, so now we need, so it looks like this is sort of the end right here. So let's assume that I need more sections. And those sections will just be text for now. And now I got to find out what text I'm supposed to add to this. It's here somewhere. Oh, there's a lot more sections. Where's the titles? Paragraph text, title. Don't really need to keep creating these sections, but there we go. All right, title section. Essentially, we're going to have three parts of this newsletter. We're going to have the section about the media manager. That's going to be a big chunk of this. A section about the XEMU integration. That's what I believe that I'm looking at here. Before I start breaking it. All right, well, let's paste this stuff in here. And that's just going to be a short one. We'll do the last section here. Let's put them all into each little thing here. How many paragraphs do I have? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to talk about all the little things that we did in LaunchBox a little bit. There we go. There you go. We got the official word from RetroPython. They're great. Don't know why I said like that. Maybe I'm a bit hungry for some cereal. And Game Noob. You wish House of the Dead was supported already. The arcade versions. You built 2 open fire for around 120 pounds. That sounds like a lot of work, though. And Mr. Nibble, if I can just install the MJML extension, oh, that would be extremely helpful. How hard is that to do? Oh God, I'm assuming the one called official. Wait, it says it's installed. Did I screw something up? Or do you have to enable it or something? Who knows? And FF Poke, it should be simpler than what you're saying. TechnoParrot's one of the ones where you have to do a lot of personal work inside of the emulator itself. Every single game has to be set up inside of the emulator. It's not really an emulator, inside of its launcher. And when you do that, it creates, I think, a profile folder of some kind with each game getting its own XML file. And then you just import those XML files. Make sure they're called something that makes sense to the game name so that we can do some sort of matching in our games database. And then as far as LaunchBox is concerned, like the LaunchBox piece is just drag and drop XML files into LaunchBox, or set up the like a new platform called TechnoParrot with the scrape as value as arcade, and then just set the games folder to that profile folder. You know, import all the games, and then just set up the emulator, and you'll see that in the drop-down menu of the Add Emulator window, there's a TechnoParrot entry. And if you choose that one, it'll set like the command lines and stuff required to launch those things. I think that's about it. If you do that, you'd be pretty good to go. You don't have to worry about the dash profile command line stuff because that's worked out for you. Just get a black screen with House of the Dead. Are you talking about specifically in MAME? I don't think. Well, I haven't checked in a while. Focus board. You just can't keep buying those games, eh? Yeah, the LaunchBox portion of TechnoParrot isn't the long part. It's like TechnoParrot needs you to set it up. That's the long part. Once that's done, it's very, very simple. Is it that you haven't played Oblivion in a while? Or is this a situation where it's like, this is the game for you? You need to see what they did with a remake. I've had some games like that for me. But real Sully, there already is as good of a TechnoParrot import that we could possibly have at the moment. But really, and this is because, like we're saying, you need to set up TechnoParrot inside of TechnoParrot. Like, you need to set up the games inside of TechnoParrot. There's no way around that. I'm sure we can manipulate files to do that. That's a huge thing. And then we can only go so far because you have to set up, like, the hard part is setting up the controllers, like adding the games into TechnoParrot and then setting up your particular controller to work with TechnoParrot, getting through all that stuff, making sure that the game works on your particular computer. And then once you've done that, getting them into LaunchBox, we did make it easier. And so I'll just show you, like, and the step that we've essentially made easier is, like, just import your games. Maybe if I had a few TechnoParrot games, I don't really remember if I do. You can't refuse, Todd. Now I have to remember, where do I have TechnoParrot? Do I have him here? Here's TechnoParrot, right? So the hard part is opening it up, getting games into it. And that's something LaunchBox can't do for you. You're going to have to, like, open up the UI, get the games working in there that you have. By doing so, I shouldn't have tried to open that. My computer's already seems to be under heavy strain of things. So I put one game in there. It creates this one file inside of the user profile. So what I could do, and there's many ways that you can import these things, right? Yeah, and tone lock. It's time consuming to set up TechnoParrot. That's the part that LaunchBox can't do for you. It's very computer and controller specific. Right, that's not an automated process, really, unfortunately. Maybe they'll figure something out, like the program itself hopefully can make it easier to set it up. I'm not really sure how you would do that. Maybe under certain scenarios you could. But you just have to, like, add games yourself and get this working. Right? Once it's working, then well, here, the real Sully. This is what you do. So you would have your user profile section. You have your 169 games. So imagine this one game is 169 games. You're pretty sure you can rename these, although somebody's going to correct me if I'm wrong. And you can simply drag and drop them into LaunchBox. Let's make sure I'm in a scenario where I don't have any stuff, as my computer's struggling to keep up with everything here. Alright, I don't have TechnoParrot here. I do have TechnoParrot here. Okay, good thing I checked. Okay, so imagine this is not here. Here's one of the ways I would probably do it. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think we're okay. I might actually have the game imported already. So let me make sure I do not. I assume that's just the old Batman arcade game. I mean, you can do it many ways. How can you set up closed games? Retro Python saying that there could be one way to do it inside of TechnoParrot itself. That might be the less problematic way. LaunchBox itself has many different ways that you could set that up as well. I believe there's like a generalized closed game button that you could use. Yeah, that's not the game. Okay, so you could set up a AHK script to set up a very specific button if you need a very specific button to exit. So those are the two ways. All right, you would either go to options if you're using a controller. You can set a closed game key right here somewhere. I really have to look at my computer. Streaming and doing stuff is not liking it. There it is, exit game. So you could set that one up and see if that works. You could do it from here. So imagine, oh, this is TechnoParrot. You could set up a running script and type it in here, you know, AHK, or there's many scripts on the forums and stuff. So I would do with escape. There's some better ones than not out there on the forums. And I had written down which one. I can't easily find it right now, but I'm sure that if I did some digging, we would find it. I think it might even be in one of these profiles somewhere, if I'm remembering correctly. Here's one. Yeah. So you just take this. This would make your escape key close TechnoParrot, basically. Anyway, there's 3 different ways that you could do that. But just to get the games in there and actually working, the 2 ways that you could do it, I'm going to show one way. I can go into platforms and I can set up a TechnoParrot. Let's say I was setting up a Techno. I don't know if this is supposed to be capitalized. I'm going to scrape it as arcade. And it should show up on this list somewhere. TechnoParrot. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to point the games folder. My computer being the way it is right now, I don't know if this was a smart move or a dumb move to do it this way. All right, so pointing to that user profiles folder that has all the XMLs. And if my computer is going to catch up to itself. What it'll do is it'll scan that folder for any file and import them. It's possible it might not do that, now that I think about that. XML is a very weird file. So I think what we did was we made it so that you can just drag and drop these things. You know, create TechnoParrot section, scrape as arcade. You add an emulator. In the drop-down menu, you choose TechnoParrot. And that automatically sets all of the settings for TechnoParrot for you. Oops, I was already in the right folder. No, I wasn't. Point to the TechnoParrot exe. That should be enough. Let's just get through the wizard. This will determine whether I actually have the file already imported or not. I do not. Now, I don't know if that's the name of the game, to be honest. Could be like arcade game or something next to it. But I'm just going to put... you can change the name here if you find that it's not correct. Press finish. It should create the TechnoParrot. 1, I've created the TechnoParrot emulator profile. And 2, I've imported all of my games. And all I have to see is, were they named right? That they could find a comparable. There's TechnoParrot, even has a little icon there for you. And it looks like it did find metadata on this game. It didn't download any media. Apparently he's totally new, totally tough. And he'll stop at nothing to make sure justice prevails. Somebody put that in our games database. And then I should be able to play it. To recap, go to your user profiles folder, drag and drop all XML files into LaunchBox, run import. During the import, add TechnoParrot emulator, and that's it. Does that kind of answer your question, the real Sully and Poke? That's how you do it for new builds. I'm kind of fearful of this game actually running. So it's going to maybe change the resolution. I don't think OBS is going to like that. So I'm going to try to stop it. No. It does not like. I should really be using windowed mode for this, yeah. 100% agree. So if you're saying that more than one default is selected for the techno parrot, are you sure that's exactly the message? Or are you missing some words? But I'll show you what that means. Yeah, there is a Batman game. It's not good, but there is one. Oh. Basically, an emulator itself could be set up. You can have multiple platforms to run that emulator if you wanted to. And it sounds like you've set multiple platforms to run that emulator. Come on. If you go to the associated platform section, you probably have more than one thing in there. Where you set something like TechnoParrot as the default emulator, but it noticed that you had another emulator that's also set up as the default emulator. And you can't have two. The default emulator is the emulator that if you just click the play button for that game, it's going to use that emulator. And so if you had two emulators that were the default, it wouldn't know what to do. So it's warning you about that. We could do a better job of just letting you do it. Like if you came in here and you decided this is now my default emulator, and it should warn me if I tried to put TechnoParrot as the arcade default emulator, right? It should warn me because I already have another emulator that is set up as the default. So I'm going to click OK, and it's going to tell me, hey, MAME is already set up as the default emulator for the arcade platform. And so it takes this string as this is the emulator named MAME0276. It's already default emulator for platform arcade. Are you sure you want to replace it with this one? We're going to remove MAME as the default emulator for all of your arcade games, and make this one, this emulator, the default. That's basically what that's saying. And if you're comfortable with that, then you would hit yes. I'm fine with that. Please continue. Don't understand what you mean by all three are selected, but let me just take a step back. One emulator can be the default. The other emulators can be there as well, but they would show up as secondary emulators for that platform. So you'd be able to do something like right click, launch with, and there'd be like a list of all the emulators that you wanted to launch this game with, but only one of them can be the default. I would have to see your associated. I'd have to see your associated platforms list. Have you found yourself in a situation where you've added TechnoParrot more than once? Like this? I don't think that's a problem. Let's see. Yeah, so this. So you found yourself into this situation. Get rid of one? How about if I just unclick one of them? No. It sounds like you've essentially added the same platform twice into here. So press the delete button on one of them and you'd be fine. That makes sense? So now that I've deleted the duplicate platform, I can now hit OK. There's no reason to have two of the same platform under an emulator. Ignoring the whole RetroArch situation, which is completely different. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Back to the whole MJML thing, which didn't make sense to me. I was just looking at white on white. It's on your keyboard. The delete button's on your keyboard. Hit that one. Select the duplicate and then hit that button. I had the file. Okay, so I did all of that. All right, let's take a look at what that looks like. Adding more into the newsletter. Yeah, that's fun. Hopefully I've fixed that now that I just pushed that commit. What is that? We're thrilled. Yeah, I think that's from the previous newsletter. Come on, you can update yourself. There you go. You had a duplicate platform. Cleaning up emulator configurations one at a time. That's what we do. All right. We now have a different kind of problem, don't we? A spacing issue. Don't think that I have. All right, how am I going to solve that? I'm going to solve it by adding everything into its own sections. No problem. Yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know. That was a fun little experiment going through TechnoParrot. Just don't ask about the BBC Micro RetroPython if you're still there. Please do not. All right, we're getting to the end of the newsletter as far as laying it out. The last thing is I still haven't created a screenshot for it, so maybe you guys could help me with that part of it. Ask me anything that has nothing to do with the BBC Micro, and I will answer it. Oh, yeah, I guess I should explain what I'm talking about. RetroPython is currently trying to set up BBC Micro in his LaunchBox build. using an emulator called... Oh, I've got nothing against the platform. I have everything against the emulator in question. What was it called? The Acculator. Now, I don't think that the emulator has the problem. The issue is that it's not really an emulator of the games. It's an emulator of the BBC Micro's operating system that can also run the games. There you go. You're using the wrong emulator. That's what you're doing. That'll solve all your problems. I quit trying to emulate the entire operating system. Okay, it kind of solved it. I think I need an image or something that might solve this problem. You know what the problem is. I should probably inputs should probably end this section, begin a new section here, and then do that here as well. I wonder if I'm missing a class or something. Doesn't look like it. Oops. You do. Okay, so that should solve that. Then I'll go to this one, and I will end this section here, begin a new section here, and do the same thing with this one here. End this section, begin this section, adding sections. Now that should solve the spacing problem, and then I will create Yeah, right, Focusborg. When it gets to that point, where you're loading an entire operating system and then launching a game, yeah. I usually think long and hard before I put that type of situation into my build. There's only one game that I did that with, and that was Discworld Noir. And that's because that game's stuck on Windows 98. Alright, so I've got that. Don't think I'm doing this in the best way possible, but I'm doing it. Actually, you know what? I think I made the decision in my head before pasting this not to do what it's thinking of doing. Instead, I will paste this. Maybe I'll add some of these instead of sections. And then wait, I made one recently, didn't I? This is like the worst HTML. Let's see. Where's the changelog? There it is. All right, I need this right there. I need to start creating sections so that I don't miss where I am here. How about this space? Okay. That is a problem. That's probably why I'm running into this problem. Whatever. Does it work? It works. Let's just keep going. We're keeping going. This looks problematic. Randomly, I think. God, am I gonna break everything because of all these things? Let's find out. Test. And this is just the beginning. Okay. There we go. Could solve that part. Did I double put stuff in here? Maybe not. It just looks that way to me. Because I pasted this stuff in here. Why did I paste that stuff in there? So this. Okay. Add the ending and we should be okay. Yeah, hard to master language. It's not that. This is actually MJML. It's supposed to take care of all that styling and all that stuff. But yeah, this one's kind of butchered. I feel like I probably messed up the columns somewhere. I just don't really have the time to clean it up. So I'm running with it. If it works, it works, because what's going to happen is that it's going to convert itself into HTML. And so it should be okay. All right, so now I need one more image, and that image is either going to be that works about our new XEMU integration. So that could be the Xbox window opening up, maybe, or it could be about MAME high scores. The star ratings. Or our new installer that may or may not show up for people. On Astro Bob, the release video is out. Okay. Awesome. So we should be able to see it on the changelog window. There it is. Yeah, it is there. You are? Nice. You know what? To make it simple, I'm going to create a screenshot of I guess XEMU playing a game. Which one? Actually, the game doesn't matter, actually. What I really need is for my computer to stop spazzing out here. As it's running on like the highest CPU. Actually, it might be memory that's the problem, but yeah, it's really running hot. All right, come on. Catch up to yourself, computer. Okay. Go. What happens if I open XEMU? How big is that screen? Pretty big. Can I make it smaller? I can. All right, so I can do two things. I can have a screenshot like this. Oh, I've never seen my computer act like this before. I don't know. Never tried to play that game. I actually own that game somewhere in a box. And I remember playing it. Have you looked up whether that game is compatible? I know they have like 80% of the library covered, but that doesn't mean every game. Let's take a look. If this browser will catch up to itself. says it's playable. Both versions. But maybe I will write that down. Try to get Morrowind to play on. Okay. The other thing I could do, I'm going to go through this one more time. You might be. Maybe they have something that indicates something or other. Of a configuration that needs to change, maybe. Okay. So which one makes more sense? If this program will catch up to itself. Come on. Come on, screenshot program. Did it just flake out at me? It might have. I don't think my computer can handle it open. Oh, God. It is flaking out on me. God, okay. Forget about this. I think I have the screenshots. I can manipulate them. Because my computer cannot handle this. Okay, so this is the space that I have to work with. Let's take a look at what makes sense. Okay. Does this make sense at all? And then I've got this image that I can put over top of it. And see which one makes sense. That's fun. Did not size them the same. Well, this is just a down and dirty thing. Let's do it in Photoshop. Down there. All right. Photoshop, stop doing that. Love how I have to manipulate these photos that do work, but my computer's not going fast enough for me to do this for me. Okay. There. Which one makes more sense? This one at least says Xbox. This one would make sense for people that know Xbox. But I don't think everybody does, so maybe I'll go with this one. That makes sense to me. And then maybe I will do this. What does that look like? Did that even do anything? I don't know. Extremely slightly. Okay. There. Last image. Emu integration. All right, tunnel lock. All right, you're using the word video clip. So where do you set up the video clip to any game within LaunchBox? So I closed LaunchBox. So my computer is acting up. But let's say I reopen it. Maybe I'll open up this copy here on my faster hard drive. While that's opening up, let's see where I can put this image. I'm assuming that I want to put it right here. So under the star rating section, there will be now this new section pointing to this type of thing. Because I messed up something, I probably have to put it inside of its own section at this point. And what did I even call it? It's new integration. And then I have to grab that image and put it right here. Come on, upload it. There we go. All right, I'll do image commit. And we'll wait for that to populate. And did I even start opening LaunchBox? I would really like to know what's happening on my computer. CPU's not going to much. Disk space, disks aren't being accessed. Pretty high memory. I don't think that's a problem. Might be one of those situations where I probably just have to restart my computer, but can't do that right now. All right, Photoshop is a huge beast of a program. If I don't need it anymore, I'm gonna risk this by closing all this stuff out of me creating all this stuff. I could really save a lot by closing that up. Could probably go with closing some browsers too. Okay, how much do I have open here? Guess I can close this. Yeah, when was the last time I restarted? Usually I would say it's been a long time. I don't normally restart. And Windows is, at least for me, normally pretty good. But I feel like I restarted recently too. Like maybe on the weekend. But what I think happened was I did a number of operations on the computer that I feel like Windows needs to recalibrate itself after you do those kind of operations. And I did not restart after I did that. And that's probably the problem. All right, what was the question? Video clips. So I was trying to make sure that I understood what you were referring to. I assume you're referring to the little video that can show up here. So let's let it finish its storefront scan. And so if you edit a game, you have the capability of linking kind of any video to it under the video section. If you had a video already, you hit add video. You find the video, you select it, done. If you wanted to download the videos, you either have to have an Emmy Movies account, or since this is a Steam game and I've linked this through Steam, so this goes with, if you use our Steam integration, one benefit of it is that it will grab media directly from Steam and metadata actually. And so in this case, I have linked Steam. You can use this or this. There's the Steam trailer. I download it. It's doing it automatically for me. I press OK. And there's the video. Does that make sense? There you go.
This is not just a beat 'em up. This is not just a shoot 'em up. This is not just a racing game.
Has anybody played this
Not
game?
just a ninja game. This is not just an RPG. This is the story of my life.
Isn't that true? You'll notice that the video's in Japanese for some reason. And I thought, it's like, that's weird. Maybe we're like pulling the wrong video down for the wrong like language version of Steam or something.
They say that when you grow up,
And it it just turns out that's the video they have like on their Steam page. They just have the Japanese video as their like primary video. I don't know if you're in. I mean, if you're into all the stuff that we're into, all like and remember all of the arcade games of the past, and you love that stuff. This game's a good hour or two of fun, and it's very nostalgic. They did give it away on Epic, didn't they? Oh, if you have videos in LaunchBox already, then it probably means you have the show video option turned off. Under options, game details, right here, show videos. That's probably unchecked. So you're like, oh, the videos are there. I download the videos, they're there. I click it and it's not showing up in this carousel. Well, that's because that carousel is completely, or I should say the whole game details view has a ton of options that you can enable and disable to customize to your liking. Yeah, I think this game was supposed to be like multiple parts, and they just didn't finish anything past part 1. So, so it's like part of a game, but it's still a good nostalgic trip. All right, I think it's been long enough. This should have updated. There's my image. I am definitely seeing an interesting problem. I'll solve that later. Cool. I think the video's done. Let's do one link test.
Shopping online comes.
Clicking stuff, clicking stuff, clicking stuff, clicking stuff. All right, did I click the right stuff? Let's find out. Change log, video. This looks like the wrong video. So I'm glad that I checking. It's the wrong video. The right place, the right place, the wrong video, the right video. All right, so I've got some wrong videos in there. So I will take the top one here, which I know is correct. And we're going to this one that's wrong. And this one. We'll do update video links. All right. Where do you go again? Tools, options, and scroll down all the way to the game details section, which is under like visuals and some other parent thing. So options, tools, options. That's where all your options are for LaunchBox. And really, it doesn't look like this. I'd love to organize this better. It's just time. You have these general sections. You know, this doesn't look so intimidating. Under visuals, there's game details. Focus board, one of your dream features is for LaunchBox to import screenshots and videos from Steam or the randomly NVIDIA app. I guess you use the NVIDIA app. Does Steam, are you talking about like local files that you've somehow cached while going through Steam? Is that what you mean? Because LaunchBox already imports, or sorry, import's probably the wrong word. It downloads screenshots from Steam already. Oh, okay. Personal videos and personal screenshots. I see. It's not completely out of the question. For example, we do that already for RetroArch. I'm fairly certain. Does anybody know what the RetroArch screenshot button is? What is the RetroArch screenshot hotkey? One of the F's? F8? Maybe? Let's test this theory. I might have had to set something up. Awesome, Tonalock. Let me know if am I saying your name right? Is it Tone Lock or Tonalock? Oh, look at that. Okay. F8. I don't know if that did anything. Did I even take a screenshot? I don't know. Let's assume I did. Alright, my keyboard's doing stuff. Alright. Yeah. F8 again. I don't know if I'm taking a screenshot. Is there a take a screenshot button? Okay. I assume it is. Okay, so let's exit. Ah, there you go. So I exit, and now LaunchBox is saying, hey, would you like to save your forced screenshot of 8 eyes? Sure. So I press yes. And there they are. Look at that. So you're talking about something like that? Or are you talking about something where we would scan your already created folders of these things, and somehow, if they're named properly or organized properly, be able to bring them in and identify and know which games they should be for. Okay, so like this. So just like I'm playing a game, we know what game we're playing. You take your screenshots. I guess Steam has a screenshot taker now. Is it part of their overlay? A video that they might be taking. I'd say this. It's a cool feature, but I just showed off the RetroArch screenshot feature that we've had for like extremely many years, long time. How many of you guys saw this feature for the first time? If I were to come out here and be like, we just added this brand new feature of RetroArch screenshot, how many people would get tricked that it's a brand new feature and not like a 5-year-old feature? It's because it's like, it's a cool idea to take your own screenshots and stuff. It sounds nice. Not many people do it. There you go. You always knew about it, so that's why we love you here, because you already know about all these obscure features of LaunchBox. I don't have to tell you about them. All right, so the newsletter is done. Astro Bob. What you don't want to have? How many screenshots is that per game? How many screenshots do you take per game? Do you have more screenshots than games? I feel like there's got to be a game to screenshot ratio that is socially acceptable. Focus party, 100%. It would, wouldn't it? How big's your monitor? Is it at least just a 1080p monitor? Or are you going to be sitting there taking 4K screenshots? Unoptimized, uncompressed, giant screenshots. Well, what is that ratio? What is the socially acceptable ratio? Maybe 2 screenshots per one game? 4 screenshots per one game? Would be acceptable. All right. We did this. Yeah. What was next on my list? All right, well, at least you have a 1080p monitor. You're not taking like giant screenshots. 15,000 screenshots. Please tell me you have 5,000 games in your library. Okay. What is the controller section? I haven't really put much thought into this part. What is that? I wonder if my computer's doing something that I don't know about. Okay, we're gonna go into this. I guess I didn't need to type that out. Admin panel. Actually, before we do that, 423 screenshots in Starfield. That is a lot of screenshots for one game. Basically what I want to do is we've got this new controller input thing, which is great for what it's used for right now, which is inside a big box. We're able to tell you which, like, we're able to tell you graphically which button is mapped to what for a specific amount of actionable items in the default theme. And so we have some packs already up there in LaunchBox in this release under Tools. Come on, computer. Tools, Manage, LaunchBox Themes and Media. All right, if I go to controller inputs, we've got these available right now, ranging from Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo controller graphics to a couple 8-bit DOE controllers, if you have those, which are essentially these buttons. This button is specific to it. These buttons are specific to it. Same with the retro style controllers, which have these long buttons, shoulder buttons. And a Legends Ultimate one that ultimately I created for my cabinet. And so these are great. I would love for people to create these graphics, because right now they are inside of we use them inside of the default theme and a couple other themes. I think I updated 3 Dimensions and the coin op theme. So if you use either of those, you can update them and you can download some of these graphical controller inputs, and they will be represented inside of the theme, depending on which button that you press. The more of these packs that we can create, the better range of different kinds of controllers that we can support. And then what we could do is we could use this information and these packs for other things as well. So just like theorizing, we could use these packs to represent which control does what in a particular game. Kind of. It wouldn't be out of the question. We can use these inputs to be able to give you kind of like a UI that you would be able to choose which control that you have and be able to map it out. So we can take control of some of the different mappings or mapping profiles inside a big box and stuff like that. The more graphics that we have, the better, basically. And so this is sort of step 1. And you see here, for some reason, I've got an update to this. Let's hit the update button. There we go. Anyway, so we have that ability, and we have it so that you can create media packs and upload them here. But what if you just wanted to share it on the forums to get feedback and to improve on those packs and stuff like that? In our old download section, we don't really have a section for that. So the question is, if we were to create that, where would it go in our category hierarchy? We have custom badges, custom sidebar icons, custom themes here in Big Box. It's sort of like a Big Box thing right now. It won't always be. It's not game media, it's not platform media. Oh, game noob. Now you're confusing me. How does the D input thing compare? Then you said LaunchBox custom icons. Maybe you can rephrase that. And if you're talking about like the back buttons, I'm pretty sure that those buttons aren't R4 and L4, but like in the sense that they're not like buttons that are represented inside of Windows, but they're like macro buttons. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Like they're essentially buttons that you can map to whatever that you want. But they aren't buttons themselves that is represented in Windows as a button. So what do I mean by that? If you go into controllers, the controller Windows section, right? And I pick this up and it appears in this list. This is the Windows controller. And this represents what each button actually is to Windows. So I'll press A, and that is button 1. I'll press B, that's button 2. Keep going. These shoulder buttons are 5 and 6. The L and R triggers are this Z axis, like left and right. I've got this one, the click is 9 and 10. If I press the back buttons, there's essentially nothing in Windows. I'm pretty sure they're custom macro buttons that you have to set up in the 8-bit DOS software that would do stuff. But not buttons that you could say are mapped to like button 15 and 16 or something in Windows. I could be wrong there though. I don't really use them. You could also be talking about something else too, because I don't have an Ultimate 2 controller. Alright, Game Noob. Right, okay. So the controller inputs you're talking about. So the controller input graphics. You're talking about this screen. So all these are controller input graphics, and it's showing the PlayStation D-pad that doesn't look like a traditional PlayStation D-pad. Yeah, we could change that. You could definitely update these packs to include that. I wouldn't call it the biggest deal right now for what we're using it for. You more than likely will never see those buttons the way that we're using it right now. But it would be nice to fix that. But really, where are they being shown? They are being shown inside of Big Box. In our default theme for essentially 4 different actions. That's like select, back, search, and I think game details button for people that have one. And so outside of that, these buttons don't really do much right now, or these graphics don't really do much right now. But the idea of collecting those packs is a big deal. So it would be nice. And I don't think anybody would have any of those D-pads linked with any of those actions. That'd be a little weird. But it would definitely be nice to get that working. Good thing is that we do have the idea of versions or versioning with all of these media packs, so we could release like a 1.1 and basically in the changelog say, hey, a more PlayStation-like D-pad. Anyway, what was I saying? I was trying to figure out where we would put this. I'm thinking probably just under the big box category as custom. I guess we'll just call it custom controller input graphics. Yeah, so remappable keys. But out of the gate, do they do anything? I assume no, if I remember correctly. Right, so they're just buttons that push other buttons if we break it down. All right, let me go to the admin thing and get this task out of the way. Where is it? Right, it's here. So under big box, I can create a subcategory, and we will call it controller input graphics. That's a very long name. Maybe just controller input graphics. That's true. Although, where are they? Where are these L4 and R4 buttons located? As long as they're out of the way, but never underestimate people's unknowing desire to press random buttons on a controller. Can do that later. Okay, so controller input graphics. I'm going to allow the zip and 7-zip, I think. I don't think I want people to upload individual images. That doesn't make sense. Like, group your images into a zip. I hope everything else makes sense. I don't think I want to create a topic for it. Maybe we had, where would we put it? Don't really have a section. All right, let's not for now. And let's hit save. Oh, wonderful. Okay, what do we want? Review files. Upload files, download, comment, and review. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense. Well, let's find out. Could be something. Wait, I gotta make sure I'm actually using this controller. Refresh. I think it needs a restart after turning it on in the middle of that window. The problem is that since the controller's in X input mode, X input only allows you to have up to a specific amount of buttons. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, there it is. Adding more buttons than X input, like a 4, Windows wouldn't know what to do with it. If you're in D input mode, that wouldn't be a problem. Wonder if this has a D input mode. It does. So if I switch to that mode, and hope that it can read it, it's possible that those buttons are now something. It's also possible they're not. This is like a lot more buttons now. Yeah, I'll say so they are now. So if you wanted more buttons to play around with, you would have to go into D input mode. It's button 24 and 20. Not sure why they're so distance. The triggers, unfortunately, now don't use their analog and they're just digital buttons. The favorite button still does nothing. So that's the limitation, I guess. Yeah. I like X input mode because I can't live without those trigger analogs. Okay, I guess I should test the section out. It's there and nothing should be in it, but you should be able to see it. Wonderful. It's going to start off here. Okay, so it is there. It's hidden. That's not good. And there's no files in there. All right, so we're okay. I can be the first. And it says the right accepted files. I typed 7-zip out. That was wrong. Nobody corrected me. That's better. All right, so we can mark that off the list. By fleshing out the knowledge base and creating a big box theme. I only have time to do one of the two. Which one sounds more interesting to people? Should I be fleshing out our knowledge base, which is found here? Actually, I'll have to go to it through here, I think, to get. Or should I explain the new type of big box theme view and start my grueling work to lay that out for you guys? Let's go into that. Was incorrect. And I'm going further and further away from what I need. Hey, RetroWizzy is the end goal, focus board. First, you have to build the knowledge base. Step 1. Get information down that Wizzy can actually use. I don't even know why this is a thing. Doesn't writing out tutorials sound more interesting than building out a new theme in Big Box? It's got to be one person that says so. Specifically, I was building out the Big Box custom theming section which kind of goes hand in hand with the big box theme that I'm building. So the more information I can put in here, the more I can like ask it questions if I forget how to do something in big box. Be like, how do I get this index visibility thing? Please show me. And so I've been laying it out slowly but surely and getting it formatted in a way that doesn't entirely suck. I even put a brand new controller input binding section, which goes hand in hand with the new controller binding display control that we put into the default themes. So for any theme developer, they have a full dedicated section just for that now. Not that it means too much. People love their big box themes. Do it for the people. There you go. All right. Joe and the real Sully, you guys win. Goodbye, feature base. We will see you another time. All right, back to here. So how do I lay this out so that you guys understand what's happening? Essentially, we're creating a new type of view inside of Big Box. The benefit of this view, there's just one benefit of this view. It's more to do with seamless transitioning between two different views. We've got three sections of LaunchBox or Big Box. We've got the platform view. We could also just call it the filters view or the root view. There's the root filters view. There's the game view. It's more like the game list view. And there's like the game details view, which is actually a combination of a couple different files to accomplish that. And so what we're trying to do, or what we decide to do, because is take the platform view and the game view and make it one view. And the reason you do that is because you can get a more seamless transition between the platform and the game view. And you can kind of give users that smooth transition between them depending on how you build the theme. It makes the theme file much more complicated, but it gives the theme developer the power to really, like, if you can do it well, it makes that navigation experience really nice. You could also do it really badly, and like then there's no benefit. So there is, I guess, some small risk there. The vision was to encompass all three of those levels into one view. Go from platform to game to the game details all in the same view. Nice GUI thing. That was deemed much more risky to get that last thing in there, and would make the project way too large. But I would have loved to get that last piece in there as well. But this is what we got. We were able to accommodate this scenario. So with saying that, what does that mean? I have one theme example that I got our designer to create. And I'm going to attempt to recreate that in a brand new theme as a way to show off what this could potentially do. And I've got an example. It won't 100% work like this example, because this is just a Figma image, or I should say prototype, that doesn't represent what we can and can't do inside a Big Box. But it's very PS5 inspired. And essentially what you have is both a platform wheel and a game wheel in one view. You can, like this theme, have it there, or you could just animate it in Like your imagination is the only limiting factor, and I guess your theming ability. See, it kind of shows what is possible. Looks like I'm cutting off part of the view, but that's the goal. Something like that. And so what have I done so far? Not much, I would say. The goal in the end, before the next release, is to make it so that I have at least maybe 3 different examples, all different in their own way, that could showcase different ways you could utilize these views. If anybody has any examples, please let me know. I could build, like one idea is I could build the colorful version 3 with this new view. I haven't looked at it in a little while, so I don't know if that actually makes any sense at all, or whether Viking has the capability of dedicating time to looking at that for us. Alright, so I had started a little bit in here. Alright. Before I can even do anything, we've got a different branch I've got to go into, don't I? Yeah, I'm not talking about the normal colorful theme. I'm talking about a brand new colorful concept. Basically, Viking, the designer of Colorful, redesigned Colorful completely from the ground up, created all these new views, and then sent me his work and said, build a theme out of this stuff if you have time. And so there'll have to be some back and forth as we find the boundary of that theme. That theme will take a while to build. Maybe shorter if Viking's available to answer questions and stuff like that. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start building this up. This takes a few minutes. Oh, before I make this mistake again. This needs to be deleted before I rebuild. That's a good question. Normally, like Colorful, I think does have some views that has that like static image, and that could be replaced with a user's dynamic button, whatever they have set to select. I'm sure Viking would not like that because he's very, very designer focused. You know, it has to be the A button that I fit into this view that fits the aesthetic of the theme. All right, I'm going to assume that this is done, and I'm going to start building. While it's building, I'm going to put you guys on be right back, because I just have to go to the washroom. I'll be right back. All right. Look at that, it's still building. How did the riot go, Focusborg? Did I miss something? Man, my computer. Just start closing things. Oh, guys. Oop. Not do that. All right, come on. You got to be almost done. Usually doesn't take this long. Well, as long as it finishes with no errors, good. So now I can finally launch this. I've got the theme file right here. I'm not sure I'm going to do this on the same screen. Love that. Okay, come on. You can get there. Okay, so it's a mesh of stuff. Really, all I've done is paste the stuff from other views and then started working on the platform view here. So I started working on this platform wheel. I don't like how I did it. I really don't like how I did it, to be honest. If you see, the wheel is instantly adjusting the size for the selected item, causing like images to conflict with each other while you're switching. You see there? It's like a big problematic thing there. So let's fix that first, and that's going to be harder than it looks, unfortunately. Oh, look at that. why these dependencies are continuously losing themselves. These are definitely there. No idea what just happened. Basically what I have to do. So this is the problem, Game Noob. If I can explain it, I don't even know if I can. The wheel itself is a 3D environment, a 3D element. It's like lives in 3D space. In that wheel, we've already set up properties behind the scenes to manipulate the item size, depending on which one's the selected one, which one's not. And you could do that with the... You could do that here with the the flow control element through a bunch of properties, right? Selected scale, that's how large it's going to get, where 1.0 is like 100%. And we've got an X value and a Y value. We have a selected offset, how far it should move around for the selected item from its starting position. And we've got just a selected item spacing, how much spacing should be around the selected item. And then we've just got like regular item spacing, how much item spacing should be there for all the other items. And we've got like a zoom for the whole wheel and like settings for the camera. I think about it backwards. It's not removing the wheel element where there's like a camera looking at the wheel and you can move the camera around. And that's what all of this stuff here is for. And so what I had done was I basically wrote here, create a border, make the border 212 height, 338 width. And then I said, if it's not selected, change the height and width to these values. That was I shouldn't have done that part. I mean, it sounds right. If it's not selected, make it this size. If it is selected, make that size. But you don't want to do that. You want to let the wheel, like these values, take care of that. And so I shouldn't have been doing this at like midnight, basically. That's what I'm saying. And instead, actually, you know what? Oh, that didn't work. Oh well. It didn't work. Oh, wait. Yeah, it should have worked. I'm thinking it was something else. Okay, so we can fix that later. No. So what do I need? I basically need to instead remove these values entirely. I'm not going to manipulate any of them except maybe the width. And the width should actually be, I've got to do some math here. And I also have to bring back what I just deleted. I gotta get like a ratio. calculator, I think. That's what I need. Okay, so if I have 338 and 212, and I want to keep I'm doing this backwards. If I have 192 and 96, and I've got a height of 212, and the width would be 424. Is that even what I wanted to know? I think I did that backwards, actually. I'm supposed to do it the other way. Oh, that's a width. Okay. No, I did that right. So 424 should be there. All right, let's see how I broke it. Oops. All right, they're the right size now, but now that I've changed the size, all of the spacing properties that I put are now incorrect. So that's fun. And all that stuff is up here. Alright, so let me adjust item spacing to 0. Oh, let's do one thing at a time. Item spacing. Let's get that right. That looks right. The selected item spacing, let's get that right. What happens if I just remove it? Right. I've changed its property, its size, so that's not going to work. I don't even know if that's as big as I need it. Oh, it's a lot bigger, isn't it? Do 2. Let's see what we got. Okay, so we got a pretty big logo for the selected item. Let's fix the item spacing. So let's bring it up to maybe 0.3. Looks almost right, so 2.5. That looks better. Okay, so now what you'll see is it's adjusting itself properly, and it's doing the animations for me already. Good. So now it's just offset incorrectly. So now I've got to... Let's just bring it back to 0, the offset. See what that is. Okay, that's way too high, so I'm going to do... Well, I mean, what did I have? Minus 0.3. That's way too low. 0.2. Getting closer. Still too low. 1.8. Sorry, 0.18. I guess I'm going down to 5.15. That look right? Now, how far should this be? Basically where I think it's supposed to be, but not 100%. So I think I should bring this down to 4. I'm moving the Y value for some reason. 6, 5. That looks better. Okay, so we've got the basis of a wheel that looks okay, and I guess kind of similar to what's on the concept. So now what I need is to adjust the size. So now that I have this foundation, you can see this also gets taller. And so did I set myself up for success with what I was doing? I did not. Great. Okay. I was gonna make a nice guess, and I'm gonna bring this up to 250 and see what I broke. Let's see what I broke. In order to tell how tall it's going to be, I also have to put here property height value of that same height that I have in the root there. It's not how it's going to be in the end, but let's take a look. Oh shoot, I've got this backwards. Why did I do that? To unconfuse me, I'm going to reverse this. So I'm going to say this goes in here. I don't really like the way that I'm doing this anyway. I'm going to have to remove this line. I'll do it later. Okay, that should let me know if I'm on the right track here. I am. Kind of. It's not tall enough, right? Or is it not big enough? It's not tall enough. Okay. Let's go up to 300. This is going to throw all the values I just set off, unfortunately, but let's get this right. Does that look right? So I have set in stone the item spacing. So I can set that right again. Is that too much? Can't remember now. Wait, where's the full screen button? Whoa, whoa. Why are those the only two zoom options? That seems... Okay. To make my life easier, this is what I'm gonna do. And probably something I should have done a long time ago. Oops. No, man. I'm going to use that image as a baseline in the theme itself, so I don't get things wrong. We'll just call it layout. Come on. This is how long it takes me to rename an image. Layout. Okay. Then here I should be able to just add the image, right? I'm gonna do it here. Image path, and it will be LaunchBox theme folder / images theme, and then layout.jpg, and then the stretch property would be uniform, and I think I have to set a height and width because it's in a canvas. Okay, does that make sense? There we go. Look how much larger I have everything. That is great. Okay. Looks so funky that I can't tell the difference between the two. Okay, let's zoom out by 2. That might be too much. Or too little? Let's double that. One more. Two more? How small are we going? How does that look? Does that look fine? I mean, it's way off positioning wise. If I move this down to 4 on the x-axis, which way am I going? I have no idea still. Let's move it down to 1. Am I going the correct direction? I'm going the wrong direction. Let me go up to 7. I should put an outline on this crap, shouldn't I? I mean, it should be simple enough to know if I even have the sizing right. I'm pretty sure I do. I did the math. I went like slightly too large, too far. So I won't really know until I fix the item spacing, to be honest. Which needs to be fixed to... Wow, that was way too much. Zero 5. I'm still too large. I'm going directly to 20 width. Why did it just create a screenshot? What did I break? I pressed a whole bunch of buttons here. Hey, what did I say? 1.5? And then 20. I said 0.5, didn't I? Okay, now I can start moving things around. Maybe. I think what I need to really do is really grow that image. That looks like a 2.0 size. Almost, right? Almost, but not quite. Let's go down to 1.9. That looks better. So now I need to adjust the selected item spacing to 1. Really, 0.95 is probably where I want it to be. No, 0.9. Okay, now I adjust the selected offsets. Let's see if I'm going the correct way here. I am. So we're going to jump all the way to 1, -1. It's not quite, so 0.9. 0.85. 0.8. 7? Okay, I'm going the wrong direction. 0.83. Okay. So far, so good. Now let's reposition. Alright, that barely moved it at all. So let's go up to 11. That moved it way too much. Let's go down to 9. Seven. Okay. 7.5. 7.6. bring this down to 1.8 now that I'm seeing that it's wrong. Wow. It's like just wrong. I think that's right. And it's just positioned slightly wrong. Let me fix the item spacing. Selected item spacing to... This might be too much. Slightly too much. And then we are slightly too far over as far as the x-axis. Wow, okay. Dealing with decimals at this point. This is what I do for you guys. What did I do? Put a decimal in there. Now I can move. Which way am I going there? Going the wrong way. Okay. So close. We are so close. I don't think we're going to get an exact match. I'm pretty sure that it's slightly getting larger as you go. Put a decimal again. Oh, I did not. Interesting. Oh, no, I did. Zero, 9, 5. About 8, 9. 8, 5. And slightly higher. Oh, that was the wrong item. Yeah, we're getting pretty, like, close enough. Going down the wrong way. Alright, so now I have to just adjust the height, which is down here. So 284, and this would make it so I have to adjust everything else, which kind of sucks. Bring it down to 260. That was too much. So 270. That looks about right. I should also adjust the corner radius. In order to do that, I would have to put it here. better, and then move the selected offset. This is going to be too much, I think. All right. We did it. Ah. Now there's still some problems. You can see I still have to adjust the clear logo to reposition itself. But what I'm going to do, and this will probably be the last thing that I do, is I'm going to get the clear... I'm going to get the logo correct, I think. That's what I'll do. Okay. I think what I need to do is make it so that... So there's a clear logo in here. And I need the height to be less. I need it to be compressed a little more. That looks a bit better. Maybe even one more. Okay, alright, so far so good. The next thing I want to do is move the clear logo to a different spot. You know what, I also think that the column definitions could use a little moving in. That looks a bit better. And then now, how am I going to do this part? Don't you love the beginning of this song over and over again? Now you get to hear it. Well, let's do this one for a while. How am I going to do this one? I think I'm going to put an animation that moves the item upwards. Moves the clear logo upwards. Slightly. To match its positioning. How would I do that? And does that make sense? I think it does. And while I figure out what makes sense for that, render transform makes sense, I think. Oops. Of translate transform. Or I only need to move the y-axis. And a data trigger that basically says the same thing as this one. So if the item is select, begin a storyboard. I think I need to do an data trigger enter action. I guess I could do this in a different way. I could set up control. Let's keep it self-contained so it's easier for people to read. storyboard. Target property of, this is the confusing one. Overflow, flow image. Do I have to go that far? Render transform. Translate transform dot y. Is that right? Begin time would just be zeros. Duration would, that's a tough one. But let's do it quickly. And then let's put a 2, wait. I feel like I'm doing this all in the wrong one. Let's do double animation. That stuff goes in there. And I want to go to, I'm gonna just guess -5. Does this make sense? Guess I should spell that word right. Okay. I'm going to do something drastic so I know which way it's moving. Okay, so I'm moving in the right direction. I'm just moving it too far. That looks about right. What do you guys think? That looks pretty good. Don't you love my, I don't even know what platform that is. I change its clear logo for a test. Looks okay. Problem I'm finding is that the change in height is too sudden, right? And so that's because it's not in an animation. So I think the last thing-ish that I'll do today is move these two things into an animation. These two things. Okay, in order to do that, I would need to set up an enter action. Oh yeah, one thing that I forgot to do is I have to tell it what I want it to do in reverse when it's becoming unselected. And so basically what I would do is I would just copy the same thing and just not put a 2 value, which means it'll take 200 milliseconds and return to, how did I not break that? I see. It's moving like way too fast now. Or is it too slow? kinda liked it when it was instant. I might change my mind actually later when I have the height. So let's do that in an animation. So basically I need this. Did I do that right? No, what am I doing? I need this. And so instead of this as the property, I'm adjusting the height value and I'm adjusting the corner radius. And I'm gonna do it where looks like the height's gonna adjust to 270. So I don't need that anymore. And the corner radius is gonna adjust to 25. And I'm going to do the opposite here. Okay, what does that look like? It looks like I broke the whole thing. That's what it looks like. Good job. Good job. I do feel like I'm going to have a problem with height. That's probably what the problem is. Can I remember that? I don't know if that's true though. Could use scale, but that would make it look funky as far as the stuff inside of it. So I'd have to remove the stuff inside of it into a different container, and then I would have to adjust the scale, which would make the corner radiuses look funky a bit. I don't love that idea. Outside of that, I don't know if I'm missing something with this height value. Let's find out. So it's telling me that it cannot animate corner radiuses. So here I am thinking it's the height problem, when it's really the corner radius problem. So to prove that it's not a height problem, let's remove the corner radius from this entirely. I would like to slow, so that's working. So I am right. Let's slow down growing this thing. I see what the problem is. Don't necessarily love that. But at least it's working. That's right. Corner radiuses aren't decimal values. I mean, I'm representing it as that, but it's not actually that. Which means I need to use a different kind of animation, not a double animation, since it's not a double. Let's use an object, and it's forcing me to use keyframes, which is not fun. Target property. All right. It's order corner radius. Oh, okay. So now I have to animate these objects. Means I need a key time and a value. The value of this was 10. Key time, let's that 0.2. We're switching the value to 25. And then we're going to do the opposite here. I might not even need to set that, maybe. No, I still do. Okay, that was fun. Let's assume that it's requiring me to type out all of the values. That it possibly could be for every corner. That doesn't work either. Well, that sucks. Make sure I'm doing this right. It does look like I'm doing it right. Can I just do this? No. Alright, let's get rid of the border animation for now. And I think at this point, we at least have an established look for the wheel that matches the prototype that I was sent. And really the rest of it is not as hard. But what's going to happen is when you do select the item, you can see down here, it switches to the game wheel without moving. And all I have to do is set an animation to the game wheel and an animation to the rest of the wheels, or for the platform wheel, to basically say something like, if you're in the game wheel, you know, remove the platform wheel or turn the platform wheel into this. And kind of gives you control over those two states. You can move, animate, bring in items, take out items, depending on if you're in the platform wheel or you're in the game wheel. And so that'll give us some dynamics. I will slowly be working on this in a bunch of my free time, trying to make sure. I'm sure that there's things missing, bindings, there's things that just aren't working, and so it's my job to identify what those are, and then we'll get Seabeats to fix that up. I did see a couple of those that I'll have to let him know about. But outside of that, I think I'm going to call it for now. So thanks for watching me struggle through building this theme, and we basically got what I thought we could get out of it, which is kind of cool that we got this this wheel actually working and the exact same size as it needs to be. And we'll keep going from there. All the little fine details that I'll have to start adding is the thing that always takes the longest in themes like this. Cool. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll be back next week. I'll do the same thing next week. Maybe we'll talk more feature requests and stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff on my list that I would love to get through with you guys. And Focusborg, if you're still there, I will read your message sometime today, I swear it. Just probably not immediately after this stream. Anyway, thanks guys for joining me, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, and let us know how the release goes for you for you guys when you update. All right, take care guys.